Tammy, I have 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. Previous minutes, we have 2 to approve, I believe. Which would be, Tammy, help me out with the dates here. January 23rd and February 6th. John, I was gonna say, John, I see you made some amendments to those. Turn your mic on so we can hear you.
Sorry. Yes, I did.
Okay. Anything crazy?
It was just a couple, yeah, and there was a grammatical error, nothing big.
That's good. Tammy, can you get a mic in front of you so that we can hear what they're? I saw what they were through the email, but I'm on record.
There was a grammatical error and a Josh instead of a John, and I fixed those.
That should be our question.
All right, so,
So I'd second the motion.
yeah.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes with the corrections for January 23rd and February 6th meeting.
I would second that motion.
Could you second it with your mic off?
I would second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of accepting January 23rd and February 6th meeting minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go. Finances.
I give you a bunch of reports.
Excellent. So as we said the other night in the meeting, the biggest one is just like the town and the roads for us that have what we budgeted, what we've spent to date, and how we're looking. That's
The budget amount for whatever we're getting.
okay.
Took her sheet.
Have you stepped up to the mic? Sorry. Just because you said that there were a couple things you would like to bring to our attention. Or maybe it was just one. I thought there was a couple.
Well, there's a couple and just I'm working on a little of everything. I'm trying to do, there's a few errors on the expenses last year on the spreadsheet. I'm just correcting what row they're in or line they're in or something like that. And there was a couple of formulas that were off. So I'm fixing that. And when I get it fixed, and I'm fairly sure it's where it should be, I'll get it to you.
Okay.
The thing is, we didn't have an audit with our own auditors. So the CPAs have all that stuff, but we do need to do the town report. So I've been working constantly on trying to, get stuff done and try and know that it's correct. So that's that. And QuickBooks I'm having issues with. It's a lot of it's the way the liabilities were being paid. It had gotten straightened out to begin with, and then a new treasurer came on and did it differently. And I just kind of continued because I knew the end of the year was coming in 2021. At the end of the year was going to be, I might as well just leave it the way it is, but it's still, it needs to be done differently. It needs to be done on pay liabilities.
Mhm.
And I'm starting out the year with liabilities that haven't been paid when I know they have. So I don't know what to do with it. And also I know that we're paying for a payroll service that we're not actually using because we're manually putting everything in anyway. And I think I'd rather put it in manually because, and you would think, well, why not use the service if you have it? But Kathy does the warrants. So Kathy figures all the taxes. And Social Security is automatically figured that's going to be this, it should be the same no matter, but when they've had the payroll tables in there, it comes out pennies off and it just throws everything off anyway. But, Kathy would put in this for federal and that formula that they put in, it's different. So putting it in manually is not a problem. It's just that, we need to.
It was
Figure it out.
it was my understanding, Vera, that QuickBooks could be used except for the fact that data hasn't been input or kept up for the last 700 some odd days.
The update has not been done for the
Yes,
payroll tables.
yes.
And I don't really care because I'm not using them anyway.
Okay.
But in order for me, I tried, I went into,
The actual program would work if it had been kept up.
no,
Moot
that part
point,
doesn't
moot point,
matter.
Moot
It's,
point.
it's how the data was entered because
Okay.
on QuickBooks, if you're gonna pay a payroll liability, say you want to pay the IRS,
Yep,
has social security, has federal tax, has Medicare in it.
Yeah.
Employee, employer. There's a special little spot you're supposed to click and it's payroll, pay liabilities. You don't do it out of writing checks where you code it to something, you actually pay it out of your liabilities. It hasn't been done that way since Abby was here in 21.
so basically,
So-
since QuickBooks has been installed.
No, pretty close because she had said she got it set up right, but then it wasn't being used correctly and so it's never, so it's not been done. So when you go in the end of December and you see that there's liabilities that you haven't paid, when I know they have been, because we pay them every time we do a warrant. So I don't know how to fix that.
Right.
And I don't know how to get it back to, I went in whichever day I come in, Friday, Sunday, I don't know. Just to look and see if I could click that box and see if it would come up. And that's what it came up and said, that it hadn't been updated in X amount of days. So what I think I'm going to try and do, because the library is a small account compared to the town on the road. You got 2 or 3 employees and doing it by hand's not a big deal. So I'm going to play. And if you know QuickBooks, right?
I know QuickBooks, but more on the billing of the customer side, not so
Oh.
much on the paying of the employee side.
Okay. What I'd like to do is I'll go into the library, set it up as manual where it's right now set up to use the payroll service. Go in and click manual and get it set up that way and then go in and see if I can do a pay liabilities. If I can change the ones for this year. There's no way I can change the past ones and I don't know what to do with the past liability that's still in there.
I think we can contact the QuickBooks support and they can walk us through how to get in this current. I'm pretty sure there's, it will take time.
If they talk to us.
They're not returning. They usually, we don't have a problem getting hold of them. I can find out who we use.
Well, the thing is, Abby was here. Audrey never bothered to call on anything. Then I was here and I had asked Abby to call them and let them know because they wouldn't talk to anybody other than Abby.
Right.
Well, she was on hold for like an hour one time, then tried another time, was on hold and couldn't get it done. And then so it hasn't ever been changed over from Abby and they don't want to talk to anybody else.
We'll have to update that. Yeah, we have to update who can call, even if we just use Kathy's name because she's more of a constant. Or even yours in the interim, but we need to get that updated. Who can call for support? And it has to be the administrator. That's the problem. It has to be the person who administrates the
Yeah.
QuickBooks account. And if Abby's the last administrator and didn't take herself out, then we're going to have to
She tried.
have a conversation. Yeah, we'll have to call QuickBooks and have a conversation and get it converted over and set up appropriately.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try with the library to see what I can do, but I can't, the library, I took the beginning balance that was on QuickBooks and I put in all the receipts, took out all the expenses, but couldn't come out with the balance on hand that was the same. And I don't know what's wrong and I don't know QuickBooks well enough, so. Any questions on anything?
No,
We had talked earlier about the fire department contract.
Mhm.
In here, on this, it's budgeted for the correct amount,
How much?
83.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, 83,814.
I saw it on something that was less than that. I'll have to look again then.
Okay.
Something else showed a different amount. I'm not sure what it was.
That
Yeah, it
for
was-
5 years. or less.
Yeah.
it was
5-year
like $10,000 less.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
I'll-
well, I just- That was one of the things you said to look at. So
Yeah, so that is, it's in there, right? That's good.
Yep.
I just, something I looked at had it back at the old amount, unless it was an older one that she'd started or something. I don't know because
we had a lot of them here for a while.
okay,
Yeah, we had like 7 different copies of this that we were going off of for budgeting and previous years to see what was what. So
you know what? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead here.
I've been updating reports and then I have one. All right, which one is the most current one? So lately I've been writing the date on it, so I know which day I did it. Because I'd get something done and then something would change, so,
Yep, no.
okay,
We feel your pain there. We were doing the same thing here for a while.
yeah, so I decided if I date it, then I know that that's the last one I did.
And this one does say 210, so I mean, that's,
Yeah, sometimes sometimes I set it up with the formula, so it does today's date when I print it out, so I know which date I printed it out, but
Yep.
sometimes lately I might have done a couple that day, so.
So if I could. You raised your hand. I spoke. Go ahead.
I just wanted to update Vilma since we spoke this morning. I did go up to the bank. There are 13 documents to sign. And we need your ID, your driver's license to do that. She verified my ID. So she's preparing the cards for us to sign now. I have to re-sign them with you on there. So when you can do that, and I'll get up there in the next day or two.
Okay, she's preparing them. Does she have them ready yet?
Nope.
No, okay, so is she gonna let you know when they're ready?
I hope so.
Okay, and then you can let me know. on
I
when
can
it's
certainly
ready.
call. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. I got a hold of Carrie tonight. Well, I left her a message, but I don't know if she got it and I saw her at the ballgame, so I can get on the library too.
Okay.
I did 2 warrants last week and I had to drop stuff off to the poor new librarian and said, I can't sign these, but Carrie can.
right, and I think you were waiting for us, my signature on a letter for confirming resignation.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
The bank needed documentation that.
okay.
you could actually,
I'll take that when I,
Yes, they're really picky. over there.
yeah.
I'll take that when I go to sign.
Okay,
guess
and
that's a
then I'll
good thing,
just
right?
sign all the stuff.
So quick questions. I'm assuming that everything in the library on page 2, the reason it's all negative in the budget is because they haven't had the 2023 budget approved yet.
I
I thought
don't
it's
know.
approved till 2024,
I don't know. I just didn't have the figures,
right?
so I just,
It wouldn't be for that reason.
Right, because it's a year.
They're a year ahead.
Year ahead, right?
They have their 2023 budget.
I just haven't been given it yet, and I
Okay.
haven't had a chance to talk. to
Yep,
But
no,
'cause when
that's-
I've been in here, I've been working constantly.
That's a simple fix. Once you get it, you can.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it in, not a problem.
And I think the other ones are really under road expenses, maybe Mac to ask the CDL.
CDL.
Who got a CDL for 90?
Renewing, okay.
All right, and then reimbursement, 176.40. Okay,
So that just didn't get put in the right spot. Is that what you're saying, Mac? Instead of reimbursement, that should have been taken out of the clothing allotment.
Okay, that would be my fault then.
that's just
That's.
trying to figure it out.
Fix.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. That's all I.
If maybe it said just reimbursement, and if I didn't see on it that it said clothing, I probably, I don't know. I'd have to look at the warrant, but that's fine. I will fix that.
Perfect.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
No, so.
I don't think you received sheets that showed the receipts on them before.
Right.
I didn't know if it may be something you might want. I redid the spreadsheet so that I could print it out. It would show the total to date.
Yep.
Right.
And
I appreciate it. It's kind of nice to see what's coming in to offset what's going out a little bit,
yeah, and then you know whether you got something that you were expecting or whatever.
Matt, quick question for you. Does that state aid, does that come quarterly?
Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense. I like that.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, I went through all the state payments because I had to find out where they were supposed to be coded to make sure that I had them right when I was
Perfect.
figuring stuff for town report.
Any other questions for Rhea? Looks great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for
Okay,
coming in.
thank you.
Hang in there, Vera.
Hang in there.
Hang in there.
Want that turned back off or you?
No, that's fine. Okay. No others under consent, visitors. We don't have any, but I know we do. So we'll go with people on the floor first. Are we here spectating or have?
You're looking for the ARPA update and the regular academy update.
Okay, so something at the bottom of the list. Same?
Just to touch base again about the speeding issue in town, and to talk more about that, yeah.
Sure. Just have you, why don't you get up to the mic, state your name. Please.
Okay. My name is Rachel Santos. I was here at the last select board meeting and I touched base and spoke with a few of you guys about some steps to move forward and trying to address the issue of the speeders in town. So I reached out to a number of people. The lieutenant of the state police, the lieutenant of the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, and a person named Ernie who works at the DOT. I don't have any figures, but it's just a step in the direction to try and get something. I can start with, I guess, and what's the lieutenant's name again? State Police-
Lieutenant Parton.
Parton, yeah. So I had a really nice conversation with him. He was very informative. Although he did say that they're not offering contracts, they're just so understaffed at the state police in St. Albans that they're not even offering contracts anymore. His suggestion was, what was it? The 3 E's, start the 3 E's, engineering.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other ones. but-
Education.
Yeah,
engineering.
education to start in school.
Enforcement.
Enforcement, that's right. Start in the schools and that kind of thing, and engineering, which would be like dealing with the roads, and I think perhaps like a rotary or something might be an example of that, but that's not, I don't think that that's something.
They just tore up town. I highly doubt they'll tear up town again for a rotary.
Right, yeah, so,
What about a bypass?
Buy that now.
Yeah.
Sure, we'll put them out over King Road.
yeah,
There you go.
so that was his suggestion,
Yeah.
and I was gonna add something else to what he had said. Ernie at the DOT was saying enforcement. I had asked him about signage, different signage that might work. I mean, even as a starting point, the slow down through the school zone, 25, but he said it would have to be stated as 30 because it's a 30 mph. He said the fact that we have 30 through town is actually kind of a miracle, that perhaps a group of people worked really hard to get it down to 30.
Yes, there.
Okay.
Yep.
And so 25 would be almost impossible. And also he said probably wouldn't do anything, which is.
I don't know how Jericho did it, or not Jericho, what was
Yeah,
it?
Jericho.
It is Jericho.
By the school.
Yeah,
By
but
the
no, right by
school.
the store.
By
they
the
get
Jericho store.
Yeah, they
Past
got that
M&U
big speed
up the
bump.
hill.
and-
On the speed hump.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know how they got away with that.
Oh, I was thinking Underhill.
I believe it is. It's
Not a
on the
state
highway.
Oh, is it?
It's kind of like Enosburg. The state highway ends, I think at the bottom of the hill or midway up
At
that
the
hill.
village limit.
Yeah, and then just outside by, it's not Governor Peck, what's the other one that shoots off there to the right?
Lee River.
108.
No,
Okay.
wrong.
Oh, right.
I
No,
thought you said Enosburg. I'm sorry.
No. Yeah,
Right.
theirs, I believe, is
it's
because
just
it's mid.
cool.
No, it's not.
It's
because of the
only
school.
when the light is flashing.
Yeah,
And it's hard for them to enforce.
yeah.
And you're talking on 15.
And I think they got
So
that
when
because of the
schools,
mid-
when schools
big
in
trucks
session
going out.
in Sheldon, there's a light, and if that light's on, then it's 25 miles an hour.
I see.
But when the light's not on,
It's back to whatever.
Oh.
It wouldn't make any difference in Bakersfield, but the 30 mph sign hasn't made any difference at all. They're still going through town at 50.
Very fast, yeah.
You talked about a crosswalk, I think, Rachel.
Yeah, so I did talk to him about a crosswalk and signage for that, and he was saying that would have to come out of Bakersfield pocket. Any kind of signage whatsoever would have to come out of our pockets, which leads me to a conversation I had with John DeSaro, the town manager up in Enosburg, and he had a lot of different suggestions as to how Bakersfield could proceed. He said that since they've put in flashing crosswalk signs, he's noticed that those have helped a lot. He didn't say a lot, have helped. And also that they were actually perhaps more efficient at lowering speeders than the radar signs. But that those were also beneficial too. But if we had to choose one or the other, he was suggesting the flashing crosswalk.
But that
signs.
wouldn't help down at your end of the town.
But it would help with the kids crossing the road.
Yeah.
right
For
there
the
by
school and the
library.
library.
I mean,
And if you had them all
I
go. one
remember
stop,
correctly, your husband was clipped
Yeah.
backing out of your own driveway.
Yeah, and they
By
didn't
a
stop.
speeder.
Yep, by a speeder. And then the road rage incident was right in front of our house
Yeah.
too. And then the fire department, whatever happened over there, somebody ran into the fire department and that just came and went perhaps. I don't know if there's anything that came up.
Now he's paying.
Oh, they did find out who it was.
Mhm.
Good.
Good.
So yeah, I've just been doing some digging. Oh, I'm sorry.
Same guy.
Just some digging to just try and further the conversation. Lance, you had suggested to reach out to Gregoire, and I have not done that yet.
Mhm.
And then Brenda, you've suggested a couple other people in state government. So that would be, I guess, the next steps. I don't know if you all had any other suggestions that I could go forward, or if this.
Lieutenant Parton, I had a discussion with Lieutenant Parton on Friday morning. One of the things he suggested was another attempt at a contract with the sheriff's department, but approaching it slightly differently. He said we should bond together with our neighboring villages and towns and see if we could afford a contract that way.
Yeah, so the sheriff of the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, lieutenant of them, said the same thing. He said that a couple other towns have buddied up in the county that they've been benefiting greatly from it. So Swanton and another town.
It just blows my mind that we have to pay for what we already pay for. We have to pay extra. I mean,
No.
it's pretty bad that.
I didn't
Not
go
all
there
taxes.
with Lieutenant Parton, but I have had the argument with several state and
He's there.
county officials that this amounts to protection money.
Yes,
They're already being paid to do this job. Why should we pay them more?
I don't understand
since we
that
don't get the
myself.
service, maybe we can opt out paying them. I'm being sarcastic, but you know,
Ah.
and then we can pay them what we would normally pay them in the tax.
Well, I think part of the thing was the whole defund the police experiment.
No, this came way before the defund.
Before that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we've been having this argument with the local police departments for decades.
Yeah,
Well, they're not coming.
yeah.
We had a domestic incident.
There's 3 here the other night.
We had a domestic incident on the porch of the town hall that lasted over an hour, that Matt Sullivan ended up coming out and he was on his way to work. And so he came over, uniformed, armed. For an hour, he was out there, called the state police, requested them to come, and they would not come. No one's coming.
I think we need to talk to Greg.
Revelation.
Our local representation and ask him how we get our tax money back since they're not offering the services we pay for.
Well, extend an invitation.
Yeah,
Be at the
three-
next meeting.
Between the churches Sunday
sure did
night,
for
I
him.
think it was, in Stadies.
Tammy, could you extend an
Why?
invitation to
James Gregoire.
Dr. Gregoire?
Mr. Gregoire hasn't put in an appearance here since he was first elected.
The other item that came up during our phone conversation regarding the speed and everything was a suggestion that we put a sign up with a detector on it that flashes what people are going,
Yep.
you know?
As she stated, John Casaro in Enosburg, and also one of our former select board members, Gary Denton. They both work for the town of Enosburg. Well, it was up before John got there, but Gary helped install that sign on the one that goes by TD Bank, the back way to 105 there.
Water tower.
No,
No,
right there by TD Bank across from the old.
Oh,
Uncle Floyd. Pleasant Street.
yeah,
And he said it worked for about a week. And then it was more of a game to see how fast they could get it to flash.
And that's what we ran into.
Yeah.
We had the,
and that,
Yeah, because we barreled the one.
See how pleasant.
If you're coming, it's right at the top of, or just across from Valentine Boulevard there.
Oh,
The trailer park.
Yep. Opposite side of the dip. Enosburg, well,
Yeah.
TD Bank side of the dip, but
and that speed limit is 25, right?
yep, it is 25 in the village. Again, village roads,
Right.
not state.
Right.
So it sounds like the signage is to make people feel better, which, and maybe it does have, and I think that it's important. I would love to see the signage up. But the DOT was saying it's enforcement. That was his quote over and over and over. That's what he was saying.
Right.
And again, I understand the frustration because I have the same questions. Like, we pay for this, why do we have to pay an additional
Right.
contract? Like, this is crazy.
We're probably told that our coverage is from what, mid-October to late December by the state, and it's in the form of game wardens.
gave more.
Because they are here quite often during that period.
I will say that in respect, hopefully in response to several complaints that Lieutenant Patton had heard, they did have a trooper here Friday morning down by the fire station.
You're sure that wasn't Officer Paquette visiting his mother?
No, it was no, it was
No,
not.
no, I'm just saying that Officer Paquette will park his cruiser there sometimes and
No.
go across the street, visit his mom, and it
No.
has an effect.
This was an active check.
Incident with a guy that kept sitting over here at the Y. And he supposedly was seeing scenery, but then he flashed a badge. And I ended up calling the state police about it. Said, do you have somebody up this way that's doing any type of undercover work? And he said, no, that would not be one of our guys. I said, well, he's flashed a badge. And they came right up. And I haven't seen him around since.
Good. Who was the lieutenant you spoke with for the sheriff's department? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
No.
I've got his name right here. Franklin County Department. Nope, I don't have his name. I'm sorry about that.
Franklin County,
Yeah.
the sheriffs.
Mhm.
What's his name? Just got sworn in.
Yeah, but that would be the actual sheriff. We're talking first lieutenant.
Yeah.
Oh, first
I
lieutenant.
mean, you've got the sheriff who's just, he's got the title, and then the guy underneath him does most of the work.
To Lieutenant Patton's credit,
Mhm.
he did offer to be a resource and said that if we had any questions, to please contact him and he would do his best to answer for us.
I'm just curious if it's worth having Lieutenant Parton, Mr. Gregoire, and the sheriff come to a meeting and sit down, all three at the table, and be like,
Yeah.
where's the
Careful. what
last
you're
I knew Bakersfield was still in Franklin County
Yeah.
and
Last I knew.
Vermont. In Vermont.
I thought that the sharing contract idea was an interesting one. I was told by somebody that Fairfield perhaps doesn't have a contract and maybe they would be interested.
They do not.
And perhaps they would be interested in splitting one.
Did I hear
And
that they
more
took-
than two towns, like they said anything was
The
open.
thing is, that's what they quoted us before. And then the price was astronomical and we were getting like a couple hours.
If I remember
But because they're
correctly, it
doing
was
state highway,
$38,000 and it was just a couple hours a week.
and we wouldn't get any kickback because they're picking them up on a state highway.
I really don't care about the kickback.
No, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that was one
Yeah.
of the issues why the town was
Yeah.
not happy.
If-
that
Kickback
contract.
as in
As
like
if
tickets.
if-
Yeah, you gotta
if
pay for the
they
tickets.
were to- Yeah, if they enforce our
It wasn't
town
a full year.
laws.
I don't remember.
Then a portion of each ticket that they write based off of our bylaws, our statutes, goes back to the town.
Yeah, right.
The reality is if the officers pull over two or three cars, that kind of gets out and people slow down. If you have
Right.
an officer up here
Right.
or a car parked out here that's empty, it scares people to slow down.
It's the age of cell phones. They
Yeah.
pull over a couple and everybody knows,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
Family Snapchat,
Yep.
cops are in town,
But
then they'll slow down.
Well, I know that you guys have dealt with this a lot in the past. So. I
Believe
appreciate you
me,
entertaining
we
it.
understand where you're coming from and we feel your pain, but we have tried. And if you can come up with a route that will actually get their attention, more power to you and we will support you 100%. But
And if
we've been trying.
And
Yeah.
if you can give Tammy your contact info.
Sure.
So that when Mr. Gregoire says that he'll be here,
Okay,
if you wouldn't mind attending that meeting and
Yeah.
voicing your concerns then also,
sure.
so that he can hear it, and anybody from the community that you want to bring in to kind of make him aware that this isn't just one person having an issue. It's a town issue that
Yeah.
is not being resolved by the state or the county. So
Okay,
that would be beneficial.
okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
hearing me
you.
out.
I'm just inviting Mr. Gregoire.
At this point, yes. We'll see what he says, and if he says, well, that's something you should take up with the sheriff's department, we'll make sure he's here when the sheriffs are here. And remind him that he serves,
Bakersfield as well.
and yes, Other visitors. Max here for the roads. Do we have anybody online that was?
No one's put any chat up. Anybody online?
Alex will
Talk?
be under board business.
Okay. All right, then. I guess we'll take Matt.
What's that? Yeah, that's, I believe that's Rosalie. I remember from the last time she joined, it was KOW.
Can you just verify?
Rosalie, can you, are you Cal, KOW?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Memory served me correct. Thank
So,
you.
Roads.
You're welcome.
Still there.
Still there? Any, with the weather breaking like this, is there any spots that are showing signs of?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's good.
Give it time.
I did, when I was walking in, I did see one of our local sap haulers coming down through, so just keep an eye on
Should be
those.
pretty stiff by now.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been hauling all day, but if they didn't.
I don't think so.
appreciate
Usually, I
that.
think they're back to concentrate right now, so it's
Okay.
not quite so many loads,
Yeah.
but it's still, it's,
Yeah, and when I talked with, Coal Hall, they said they were gonna try to go the other way since that bridge is repaired. It's a lot quicker for them to get to pavement that way, so.
Yeah.
Because they don't like beating their trucks anymore and we like them beating the roads, so.
that's fine.
I wondered about that with King Road,
King Road.
because your sugar houses are on both, one's
Yep.
on one end, one's on the other end.
Well, that was a
But
discussion.
why
we
do
had.
they have to travel the whole road?
Well,
Why can't?
Josh spoke to
Both of them.
both of them, and they did come in from their end
Yeah.
to alleviate the problem.
Nice,
Because they were
I thought
going
of
full
that.
length. Yeah,
They were going full length and
and there, it
which
was,
didn't make much sense.
well, that was the year that, I don't know. I don't know if you saw Aunt Bee's pictures, but
Yeah,
where she was,
yeah.
that was that year, and I went up and I was like, what's the deal? And as I went up, I saw one of the one on the far end, on the north end, going the full length with with that big flatbed he's got loaded right down. I'm like, why wouldn't you take it's an extra, what did he say? It was an extra 1.2 miles.
still.
I was like, well, travel the extra 1.2 because this is ridiculous. So,
Well, and why would they want to take the
Well, and that-
rougher route than 1.2 is nothing if
well,
you're,
just probably the same reason that they got mad and demanded a tandem load of gravel in their driveway because we turned around in it twice the day I was helping the road crew. It's just
After they told us to turn around in the
Yeah.
driveway.
so. Some things go unanswered.
Mhm.
Any other questions on roads? If Max,
Mac, is this the old grader?
That's new, that's.
This is for
fuel
the new
filters.
grader?
That's
Just-
just filters and routine stuff.
Yep.
We got a bunch of filters and stuff from Johnson, but they were. I'm not really sure. There was Baldwin, there was some really odd brand names in there and. we Started off with real filters.
Mhm.
you always get to cross over to Wicks.
I don't even think they had them.
Really?
They had
I
weird
think
ones.
it's the Wicks, well, with Cat,
Yeah,
Wicks have a direct line, so.
I have a dumb question. Back up to the back hauler.
Yep.
If they're abusive of their road value or whatever, does the town have any way to charge them for?
No, we've,
Is there any special charge for sap haulers in the spring to use our roads?
no, there's no extra fees for sap trucks. We did look into that at one point and that was shut down by the state of Vermont so quick that you weren't even sure if you completely asked the whole question before they shut that one down.
agricultural
Thank
and.
you.
Agricultural is priority in this state.
Perishable item and,
Yep.
yeah.
But we can't, the sap haulers that we have, for the most part, using our back roads are thoughtful enough to haul at night when the roads are starting to freeze up
Right.
and have been willing to help out in many ways to repair any excessive damage that they've made. They've been really good about that, in my opinion, personal opinion.
For the most part, yes.
For the most part, yep.
Yeah.
Any other questions on roads or comments?
Only question, our couple logging operations are up on East Bakersfield.
And they were chipping today. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're monitoring them.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, no,
Well, he's gonna move, I think, to the other lot and maybe do some more work
yeah,
up in there.
Do I know that guy fairly well?
you do.
All right, I can,
Probably very well.
if it gets to that point, give me a call, but they're
I don't
usually,
think it
they're
will. They-
usually on top of that too.
Yeah.
Cause they
It's
understand.
Supposed to freeze tonight, not be quite so warm tomorrow, and they're chipped today, and I'm pretty sure they said we're chipping tomorrow. So
Okay.
it should be. Did you get my latest thing from Miss Canarecki? We're off by $59 on the Whitney project. They want to know if we want to figure out where that $59.41 is or whatever it was, or just
Don't
say-
pay us for the $59, please.
Okay, just wanted to double check with you.
That's how finicky they're getting up. That's the state.
No, that's federal.
That's federal, yeah.
Okay.
Thanks,
Um,
Mike.
That's
You
getting
couldn't find
ridiculous.
Lance's error.
Let's put it this way, Terry, we didn't want to sit down and look for $59. I mean,
Oh,
I'm just curious.
could have been a typographical error, I think she wrote. Could have been, I mean, it could have been a lot of things, $59. To look through all those pages to find that much?
no. You know what?
59.
If it goes the wrong way, I'll pay the damn $59.
Oh, it's not gonna go the right way, but I mean,
We will accept your payment.
I'll give you a receipt.
Split it with Matt. if you'd like.
Oh, yeah.
I can read your thoughts right now.
we're gonna make him pay for it.
$59.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I forwarded it to you. For some reason, she sent it to me again only. I forwarded it to you this afternoon.
That's awesome.
It was under $60. It was. Yeah,
Oops.
but she did say she had forwarded that to FEMA for final. And I'm assuming,
As soon as you tell her we don't need the $59, she'll forward that along too.
yes, that's what she said.
Perfect.
So this is a petty thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks terrible, so I have to bring it up. Right by the town garage across the road, either tree came down or tree got cut down, but it's just laying along the side of the road. Is that for us to take care of or? Oh,
It's in town right away. Yeah.
In the right of way, I mean, it's kinda hard to pull it out of there right now, but I mean.
no, but when the time comes, it
Yeah.
could.
We got quite a few trees from that windstorm. That wasn't, there was one there from the windstorm, but
That's what I wondered if it
Yeah.
came then or
part of it did. anyway.
it just looks bad.
Yep.
Okay, I was just curious if we pick those up or what we do with them.
Yeah.
Usually,
It's just to clarify, the FEMA has validated an expense of $173,400.43. And we requested $173,459.94.
what's 59,
So it's not even a difference of, it's not even $59.
It's 59.51.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go without that 59.51.
Just-
If that
just
breaks,
for-
that breaks the road.
Just for
budget.
reference, we've been going around and around and around and around like this
oh
for
yeah. They asked for
2 years.
Army Corps permits for the bridge down there. They asked for stream alteration permits. They asked for something from the zoning administrator for down there. When I sent Tyler the note and said, can you help me with this? He said, his answer was, I feel we've replied to them several times, to FEMA, several times about the same exact thing.
Mhm.
I've got the records. I've kept all the
Wow.
emails. And that request for permits has been gone at least 3 times in,
It must go from this desk to that desk and then back over to that desk. And that must be what happened with the $59. Somebody probably found it and then probably pushed it off to somebody else's desk and they couldn't find it either, so. Just gets a little frustrating after 3 years.
it's been 3 years, but I mean, we've really been only dealing with
With the finalizing.
the finalizing for 2, but
Yeah.
a little over 2.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
Trust me,
Wow.
guys. Yeah, that's fine. Any-
Alex is a guest.
Yep.
Coming up. They'll introduce themselves.
Any others on roads?
Nothing more of.
Not from you, nothing here.
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Mac.
Thank you, Mac.
All right. Treasurer position.
This was the
Have we had
discussion
any-
that we tabled.
Applicants come in?
I have not published that ad,
Oh,
because well, by the time Thursday happened and resumes, I got adjusted, I'm like, should we just wait till Monday night? You guys might decide and give me more information than I put in the.
Right.
I don't think there is any more.
no,
information at this
not
point.
for the ad.
We tabled it to have the discussion from last
No,
Monday.
as far as the ad, we wouldn't want.
That itself, we're fine, right? We weren't putting anything else in that ad, except for cover letter and resume versus application, because we'd have to make an application to do an application.
Right.
Cover letter.
Like that one?
Yes, I like that one.
And have we? So. I don't know if anybody's thought about this or not, but there are a couple other towns in our area that have part-time treasurers already.
Yeah,
I wonder if we reach out to them. Say, would you like to pick up another part-time treasurer position? As it could be fairly streamlined if they're both running the same accounts or the same accounting system. And if they already have experience in that, it could be.
I think most of them around here have members, which we don't have.
never, remember we were looking into the modules for that. That was quite costly. And it isn't even a one-time fee. It's a yearly maintenance fee. Right, I think the one module was $10,000. Yeah, it was not cheap. I have it in my notes probably at home, but it was not cheap.
I don't see any point in doubling or.
Tripling, yeah.
Did we send Vera to QuickBooks School?
It would probably be cheaper, but I don't think
I'm
Vera wants
sure
to
I
hang
do.
around that long.
No, I don't think so either.
So I don't, okay. If anybody, does anybody have any connections to the other towns that have the part-time?
There it is.
I said I was gonna reach out to Montgomery.
Yeah, I see Montgomery on Wednesday nights.
We're talking Fletcher, Fairfield.
Fletcher,
Mark
Fairfield,
Briette.
Cambridge, Montgomery. I don't know. Enosburg's is a full-time position, I think, because it's town and village.
But Montgomery's was
Berkshire.
Well, it was
Mon-
25 a week.
Berkshire, Sheldon.
maybe
I mean,
20.
if they're semi-local,
Hmm.
it wouldn't be,
A lot of them have the same
Yeah,
Right.
and treasurer the
Right.
same.
but that is entirely up to the clerk as to whether or not they want to run for both positions.
No, I know, but I'm just saying a lot of the towns,
Yep.
we learned our lesson on it.
I misspoke, Josh. I actually found my notes. It was about 10,000 total a year. Not
Okay.
We like
for
to
one
spread
that-
the love.
Right, and the support contract was quite hefty every year as well. They were estimating about $5,000 for a support contract on top of it.
I think what's QuickBooks, like, I think we paid $150 for it one time.
Yeah, I think it's a yearly fee and it's not.
It's not nearly that.
Doesn't mean they wouldn't know QuickBooks anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
It might not-
QuickBooks
It might
is,
not be a bad thing that they have them on two different programs.
right. QuickBooks is actually a fairly user-friendly unit. I think there's just minor glitches that are sometimes hard to navigate.
It's all in the setup. You set it up right, you follow it, it'll work for you.
We're gonna wait for a response from me. Oh, before we reach out to other towns treasurers.
Well, we'd want to do both.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody has
If
any
you
connection to
Basically,
those.
make them aware that that position is open if anyone in any of these towns.
Call them and make them aware.
It would be, yes, or however. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know how else you'd make them aware of it. Send them an email, but Bakersfield
Seeking.
sends
Well, isn't
Montgomery, hey, you want to come work for us?
We're
That could,
sending it to the paper
gonna be
and on the, yeah,
Yeah.
VLCT.
And we were putting on front
So if
porch forum
somebody's
too,
looking
right?
for extra work, I
Yeah.
would think they'd look
I
on
think
there.
once it's in the paper and the LVCT or, you know, the Molly Cities and Death, I think. Put it on front page for them would just be, the front
Redundant.
porch for them would be. Just the simple, hey, Bakersfield's looking for a treasurer, apply. Maybe copy and paste it from
one of the other two.
Can we do it on the Facebook?
Can do it on the Facebook.
Cause you got two
You do
of
have
those
yeah,
accounts that
yep.
you could,
Now, don't forget that is a hired position, so we do not have to strictly limit to in town,
right,
Right.
that's what I mean.
so. If anybody knows of anybody outside of town that's looking for a part-time job that is familiar with QuickBooks or,
Willing to learn it.
yeah, willing to take the time and learn it, it's as we figured out when we did the thing, it's not a super high demand in hours. For most of the year, and then for, I think, what we figure it up?
It was like 4 total months out of the year.
Yeah, 3 actually. So for about 12 weeks, it would be,
30 hours.
yeah, about 30 hours a week. So it's not a huge time commitment. And that's probably in your first year of learning it. I mean, once you figured it out, it'd be even less than that, but. Any others on the treasurer position? Tammy's gonna send that out. We're good to go. Okay.
Then we still need to figure out actually what we intend to pay the treasurer. Depending upon, I think we have to wait for dependent upon experience too.
Absolutely.
I think we should keep it at the scale of the 17 to, what did we put in, 23 this year?
We put in 18.5,
5.
18.5,
18.5 this year?
Yeah.
Where'd I get 23 from?
because we were talking about that originally.
Was when we were talking about the number that she came in with. and
Oh,
what she
okay.
Wanted, and when we broke that down hourly. Which our hourly figures were off.
So I think we can keep that
Which brings up the point.
in the scale of, and then you figure out where the person lies on
There.
that scale.
Yep,
Right.
Because if you get somebody totally green,
yep. You have a point?
Brings up the point that, and I missed this the other night, I apologize. That we hired the person that's coming in once again to rescue us. Because we've lost our treasurer
mhm,
at a wage, salary, whatever, less than what she quit. When she retired at.
she was making 20. That's what
But
she
now
had.
she's salary now, right? She was doing the salary piece now.
No,
which
he was salaried then. She was salaried at 20 when she,
She asked for. Yeah. Because it was what we budgeted for.
Sit down.
Mhm.
Right, we'd already set the budgeted,
yeah,
and she asked not to have to keep track of hours. She asked to receive the salary that we had allotted for that position.
Yeah, the
I don't
monthly
disagree with
salary.
you, but
And she wants to be able to flow as she wants to.
She's
this is
quicker.
the second time that this woman has
Bailed us out.
stepped in to save us from,
yeah,
yeah, disaster basically, and I just
Made
Yep.
this.
yes.
making that point known.
Yep,
So I think she was saying, because you were gonna hire an assistant treasurer to work with her until the assistant treasurer is applied.
Right.
So I think there was talk about hiring an assistant treasurer an hourly rate, and then when it was time to, pass the baton on, then she would begin at the salary rate and stop the hourly.
Who, the assistant treasurer?
Talking about.
you have me all confused there.
I still,
When we hire a treasurer,
It would be
if Vera is willing to do some training, that would be awesome, but that is,
She said she wanted to hire an assistant treasurer.
I didn't hear.
It won't
that.
be assistant treasurer. They will
I
be
didn't
the
hear
treasurer,
that.
and Vera will stay on as
It
a
did,
trainer.
it was not
Okay.
quite,
right, and I'm still debating the fact that I think the treasurer position is, as it is a part-time, no longer elected position should be hourly, but that's me.
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, because I think
What's
you
that,
have,
John?
I said, I'm still of the position that since this is no longer a town elected official, that this should not be a salary position after we get this next treasurer. We should be looking for an hourly employee and pay them per the hours they work. It was the same thing you were saying last meeting. You and I were, that you were just coming at it a different way.
right, but the issue that we had there. The way that was brought up was, we're saying. That it's gonna take. For training hours. For that first year to get your get everything underneath you and get it so you understand it and how it will work. We were saying it was gonna take 700 hours.
Right.
Okay. And then Vera said, well, once I got everything figured out, I was doing 10 hours a week
Right.
and on a busy week, like 20,
Right.
which dropped it down to like 500 hours or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Which is all fine and dandy, but I guarantee you, there's not a soul around that's gonna work and make a paycheck at 700 hours.
For the first year.
The following year to come back and work 500 hours.
Plenty
at
of
the
people.
Same pay rate.
There are plenty of people who do it right now.
I would tell you to pound sand.
You got anybody in retail does that exact same thing. Their hours vary by week to year. They have more hours. Sometimes they have less. In retail, it happens all the time. But that's what I'm saying. We understand and they should understand that if they're coming on board to learn a position, that obviously it's going to consume more of their time. Usually people who want part-time, they can do several different jobs.
Usually in retail, in a training phase, that employee earns a lesser amount. And when they become experienced, they get a raise.
Yeah,
Great
you
way to
can
put
have a
it.
great- You can put a great.
So that they're making
Yep.
at least approximately the same amount, if not more, because they're now more efficient and
Right.
can do the job in a shorter period of time. If you pay them the way you want to pay them, there is absolutely no incentive to get any better and do the job in a shorter time.
Which then leads to gossip hour. Where they're in here talking for an hour because because I'm not gonna take less money, so I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna chit chat for an hour and the town's gonna pay me. Or, yeah, exactly. So if you do it, and which is, I'm pretty sure why the town set it as a salaried position, because your incentive then is to get better. Because then your hourly rate theoretically is improving.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, to put that.
But
at-
you still have to have the town guaranteed so many hours for that salary, for the salary wage.
What winds up happening when you go into this, if you take Vera 18.5, which she said she can do it in because she's experienced, we would be paying Vera about $56 an hour. For the position as a salaried employee, because she can get it done in a much quicker time frame. Right? So do we start out at a much lower rate? Then you have problems bringing people in. If you say, hey, here's the deal, we're going to have someone with you training you for the first X amount of months, right? So they're going to get you up to speed and ready to go. You're to Lance's point, you make, hey, you're going to make something on the lines of $16 an hour. I don't know, pick a number out of the sky. You know what I mean?
I believe the number of hours Vera was going to work in a year's time was 700.
No, Vera was
No,
much
not
less than
Vera.
700. Vera was much less than 700.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did the busy periods in under 100 hours. She did the September, October busy period in 93 hours, I believe she said.
Refresh my memory. Where did the 700 come from?
We figured the new person would take 700 hours.
Right.
Vera was doing all the busy work. She had said that she had done all of September and October, which is the busiest part of the job, she said, tax collection. She had knocked it out in 93 hours, I believe is what she said. Then she said the next busy time is January. And then the final busy time is July, and that's really just stuffing envelopes, printing 2-3 copies of something and stuffing envelopes. So when you took a look at all that,
She's got.
Vera was able to crank out most of the work because she was saying,
And it-
what did she say she could do the guy's pay in? She coming in for an hour or so a week to do the
Yeah.
pay and the warrants, right? I believe. So most of the time Vera was saying she was doing like 250, 300 hours to get all the work done. We said 500. She's like, yeah, but the other person would be, but now you take your 200 hours, 300 hours divided into what was originally asked of us, and that's one heck of a salary for somebody, an hourly.
When I asked Vera about the 25 hours,
Yes.
Yes. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying.
that's not what he's saying. Well, we know.
I don't intend to
we
get
know
Vera.
that.
I'm
We
not saying
realize
we're getting Vera.
You might though.
But you
If we
could,
pull
we
somebody
don't
from
know.
another town,
You may.
we could end up with somebody that has
So
that
Vera
experience.
thought 25 hours a week is way too many hours.
Right. She was saying that's way over. She needs
my
an hour or two.
Is 25 hours a week. And I asked Vera about that and she said, no.
She
there'd
said for
be-
the 12 busy weeks,
they
that would
would-
be okay.
Right,
Yeah.
for those, for
That's what I have
tax
here.
period would be fine, but the rest of the year is way less than that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because she was
She
saying,
told me that
Right.
day.
So that's where we came
Right.
up with the 700. We had 12 weeks at 25 hours, which comes up to 300.
Yep.
And 40 weeks at 10 hours a week, which is 400. 4 plus 3 is 7.
Right.
that's for the
That's
person who was learning. Yeah,
Correct.
So we've got to find out who's gonna apply.
yeah, it's gotta be totally.
Be
dependent on
based
experience.
on what they're bringing to the table.
Right,
So. Oh, yeah, I had that right there. So the salary that we voted in for the budget
yes,
divided by 700 comes to 2643.
an hour, correct. I have that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
So then. I'm kind of confused as to where the argument is here.
Let's move the question.
Yeah. So this really, I mean, we can spin circles around this all day long. It doesn't matter.
We've been doing that for 3 meetings.
Or if they have 0, you start them at the 17, so you have somewheres to go.
Well, if they have 0 experience, then you could start them lower than 17. In my personal opinion.
Yeah, you could.
I mean,
Depending on what
we
they
pay them
bring.
is dependent on experience, and we don't have anybody that's even applied. So we can't judge what their experience is.
That's
So
what
we're
you're
putting the
saying.
cart before the horse.
Right, exactly.
I feel like somebody shot them.
We need to get the applicants in first,
Tabled. Yeah.
Good job.
because we could be 0 and Lance will have another job. Okay.
Excuse me, you didn't hear that.
I'm
All right.
working 2, you can work 2 also.
Next one. ARPA.
Actually gonna do 2 of these together, ARPA and grant writing proposal.
ARPA and grant writing is one and the same now.
Linda, I wanted to give you the update that I gave these folks, and we're gonna go to the end of the month, last day of the month,
Okay.
6 AM. I think that's the 28th of February, 6 AM, 6 PM. I'm sorry, it's not 6 AM. That's too early.
As to how beneficial.
6 p.m.
There are.
What's this?
ARPA meetings.
So you're gonna have an actual ARPA meeting here?
We don't get them. We
Yeah.
don't get them. because we don't
Okay.
apply. But it does cost money to apply unless. you Do it for free.
So I would put
You can do that.
for proposals. I'm intending to review what we already got for proposals. Go forward on that, so, and it won't be the last meeting, and we'll try to do 1 a month until we have it figured out.
Just at that, John, I would like to look at the proposal. That we put with the.
Yeah, let's put
For the
it
town
for
clerk.
Mac. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking about those numbers and they're not accurate. like,
Okay.
At all,
Okay,
because when I broke it down, it was not.
And you were aware that AARP put out a virtual town meeting by phone.
So there's more people.
That was a couple of weeks ago, telling them about the state funds and how
yes,
should use their funds to leverage state funds.
Yep. that leads me to the next, leads me to the next part of the topics that I want to cover, which is grant writing, which that will cover that as well. Alex, are you where you can talk to your proposal?
Good.
Alex is a childcare provider and also someone who has put a proposal in front of us for grant writing services, and this is all part of that package. And yes, thanks for bringing that up, because that was something that's been on my mind, that we can leverage what we have now to get even more money. Alex?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not a childcare provider. I was just putting my son to bed. He's 2. Sorry.
Well, that's committed parent, right? That's-
Well, I don't want the word getting around that I'm running a daycare or anything. That's not the case. Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. And thank you for the flexibility of being able to be on Zoom and camera off, because My son's trying to fall asleep right now. So Brenda approached me a while ago about the need for some grant writing services. In short, my career has been in nonprofits and nonprofit leadership, and I've got about 10 years of grant writing experience under my belt. With the last position I had, it was a director of development, so I was responsible for fundraising for a community center in Columbus, Ohio. And our annual budget was about $3.2 million. So we were pretty successful at raising funds and writing grants. And so fast forward, we moved here to Bakersfield, my wife and I. My wife is a nurse practitioner at Northwestern Medical Center in St. Albans, and is on call a lot, which is the reason why I'm taking care of my son, because she's getting called into the hospital at all hours. And I would like to use my experience to bring some resources to town. I know that there are a lot of projects. There are a lot of equipment needs, road needs, you name it. Brenda and I probably talked about it. And so currently I'm, primarily caregiver for my son throughout the day, but also I've been doing this consulting thing as a contractor with a couple of organizations that I still work with and write grants for them. And so it seemed like it might be a good fit. Brenda asked me to put together a proposal, and so that's what you see in front of you. Brenda, would you add anything?
No, but I think we did talk about a lot of different things. And part of it was also making sure that you will help us maintain the grants, and the follow through is often as cumbersome as the grant writing. So I want to make sure that we have that in mind as well. That it's not just the grant writing, but it's the follow through.
Hey, Brenda, I'm having a hard time hearing just you. Your voice is really muffled.
Yep. Maybe I'm too close. There we go. Is that better?
That's much better. Thank you so much.
Okay, I was too close. I just wanted to make sure that there was a knowledge of the follow through on the grant writing, that we don't just write the grant and then it's done. There's a lot of maintenance to the grants, and that is something that you'll educate us on as well.
Yeah, so as part of the contract, I would definitely hand off the meeting, so if we were be successful and got an award, make sure that, when those terms of agreement come around, that I'm providing you guys a written summary, and or can sit with somebody, on the select board, or, on staff that would be in charge of administering the project, and make sure that it's clear, what needs to happen in terms of compliance, spending the money, all of those good juicy details.
Yeah. Did you want to mention that you have already looked into some grants and what we will be looking at right off the bat?
I did. Did you provide a summary of that, Brenda, to them?
I didn't get to print it off. I didn't get to print it off, but I'm going to email everything you sent me to the
okay.
board. So if you want to highlight what that was, that'd be great.
Yeah. So just an example, Brenda asked me if I could just do some quick research on, would there be some grant opportunities that are out there? Of course, there's been some words about more ARPA funding coming down from the state, which I will certainly keep an eye out on. But I'm trying to pull up my document here real quick, Brenda. Sorry.
Yeah, it was in one of the last emails that you sent me, and I had one copy of it, but I'm going to copy the board.
Yeah.
All that information, and anybody else that's interested, we'll try to get information into the minutes.
Yeah, so there were about 5 opportunities that I was able to quickly kind of come up with. First is the Vermont Community Development Program. They cover expenses related to public facilities. I know that Brenda expressed some need around, the town hall, even the H.F. Brigham School, the library, etc. They even cover housing and public services and handicap accessibility modifications. So that's something that could be looked into. There are some opportunities through FEMA for assistance to firefighters. I know that in our conversations, Brenda, you mentioned that the firefighters are in need of some equipment and or a truck, or replacing an old truck. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody who's here in the meeting. I'm just kind of skimming through these very quickly. there's an organization called the National Trust for Historic Preservation. So any buildings that would meet that criteria of being a historic building, there is a grant opportunity called the Johanna Fabro Fund. It's a small amount, $15,000, but that could still go a long way for, adding something to a building or updating something. And then last but not least, there is the Vermont Community Foundation. There's a grant opportunity out there right now called Equitable and Inclusive Communities. So it's about, doing some planning, having some community conversations about making towns, cities more accessible and more equitable for people of color and all different backgrounds. So those are just some examples, but I found those in about half an hour to an hour of searching, and I'm sure that those are just the tip of the iceberg for what could be out there that Bakersfield might be able to take advantage of.
Okay, one of the things with the Brigham project is there are things that are underway, and I'll have you talk directly with Lance at some point in time so that you don't duplicate what is done or what has been done. We'd like to get started as quick as we can, and I'll review it with my board members.
Okay.
The Johanna Favorite Fund,
Mhm.
could the historical building?
It could, but again, it's only it's a smaller grant. It's up to 15,000, so it's probably not going to do everything for it, but it could be a part. It could fund part of that project, perhaps. It just would depend on kind of what you're thinking.
I think one of the problems with the Historical Society is they have a loan, so they're not eligible for grants. I think that was one of the things.
Yep, it'll be important to look at all the considerations.
Yeah, and that might vary by the funder too.
What's that?
I was gonna say that, and the fact that they have a loan, different funders have different criteria. So for one funder, that might be a problem. For another, it might not be. So we would just have to take that into consideration, like Brenda said.
Super.
Yes, thank you, Alex, for this information.
Oh,
Thank you, Brenda, for reaching out to him.
yeah, I wanted to get into where we might actually pay for doing this. I believe we can cover this under some of the ARPA funding, which means it won't come out of our pocket, but it'll go back in our pocket, which is a good way to use the ARPA funds.
And obviously we'd make use of any grants that were where we could offset the costs there.
You betcha.
I think, obviously we're gonna need to talk about this more, and
Yep.
there's obviously benefits to having somebody that's looking for grants, because other than Lance, none of the rest of us got
Yeah.
time to do that.
Mrs. Floyd, you mentioned something to me that may be historical, going back to old town contracts and times that people looked at doing grants for us. And it was talked about, was it, and you said it, I think you said it was budgeted to go after grants. Is that correct?
You mean about a grant writer?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was voted, 3 years ago for the town to hire a grant writer.
Okay.
Whether or not you put it in the budget, that would be the select board. Did you put it in the budget?
No,
It was put in the budget that year.
Yes.
We looked for applicants, and we got one applicant, I believe, and we asked them to look at or look for grants, and that was the last we heard from them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It didn't go, and then so obviously we didn't keep putting it in because it wasn't,
Do you have a fund that you started for grant writing? Did you set?
not at that
money
point,
aside?
no.
Put it in the general fund and.
At that point,
all in?
it went into the general fund, and I don't even think it got put back into the general fund after that
it's
year.
before me.
So this isn't a new idea.
Absolutely not. No. It's a great idea. It's nice having somebody that is willing to do this. I think we've been looking for that for a while now.
Yep.
Maybe more than 5 years, 6 years.
Yeah, it might have been, because I think it was pretty close to one of the first years I was on the board that was discussed. And we welcomed it then, but it just, we didn't get the right applicant, so. The only thing I think we would have to do right now is look at, just looking at section 3 there. Is look at how we would, where we would fund that from.
Yep. Well, I mentioned it.
Yep. No, hey, that's. Answer the questions before they're asked.
Yeah, I'm good at that. Thanks, Alex.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Yep. I'm assuming speed enforcement information has been covered.
Yep.
Good. Warrants and reports
I
are.
didn't sign them.
Neither have I. They'll come back,
this
review the
Rebecca
mail.
or-
Can I have that folder, please?
John,
Yes,
did you grab the mail?
I did not grab the mail.
Okay, this was the only thing that I saw up there.
Yeah, that.
And it was just, I'm not even sure who it came from. Or if it was solicited or what it is, but Tammy Sink from the Vermont Secretary of State's Assistant Director of Elections and Campaign Finance. It says questions about this bill. I'm assuming from what I've read, it's about the going to Australian ballot. Just because it permits the select board to change the meeting date or implement Australian ballot method, it does not mean you have to. We can hold a in-person town meeting like a normal year. So this was in regards to the email that came out the day after we decided to go with a normal town meeting day.
Right.
They came back with the whole COVID is still a thing, and if we don't want to hold a town meeting, you can have a Australian ballot meeting. And at this point, we had already decided to hold a normal town meeting, so
Moot point.
moot point, exactly. Policy we've gone. Brigham Academy update.
Brigham Academy update, we are at a point where we should be able to, within the next couple of weeks, start requesting repayment for town, money that the town has already expended for this $45,000 grant. So yeah.
Forward progress.
There is progress, there is interest. I'm not going to name names as per involved parties' request. But there is interest, someone is interested in actually doing something with the building and are exploring possibilities at this point.
I would like to get my hopes up, but I will not.
I hear you very much, Josh. Over the years, we've heard this
Numerous times.
numerous times.
And I haven't been around nearly as long as you
I
have.
think this party is seriously interested.
And this would be the year, as I understand it, if something's gonna happen, this will be the year. Because they said the ARPA money and grant money that's out there to expand housing in this part of Vermont is the most that it's been in a generation.
Yeah.
And I know from other folks that are working on rental properties, there's an awful lot of money out there to be used for that.
I have made all parties involved aware that if you want to do something with Brigham, now is the time. Because of the failing infrastructure and structure itself. Our time is limited and for reasons that Linda just stated.
Become a safety issue over there.
It is a
Right.
safety issue already.
And the cost of taking it down is not cheap either.
No,
That would be hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that would be taxpayer dollars. No grant money or ARPA money to do that kind of.
you know, the state will, everybody that was interested in giving us grants or helping us will turn their backs on us if we decide to tear it down.
Absolutely.
As will the older, as will the older generation.
As will the older
Bakersfield.
generation, they will build stocks in the middle of town and I will be hung, so.
Hope you stop over.
We'd have it paid for if they would have voted it in back when the school tried to renovate it.
Yep. I will agree 100% with that.
Missed opportunities.
Have been. Complete,
Yes,
okay. Not seeing any others on the meeting. Do we want to discuss in further the grant writing services?
I'd like to look it over.
Look it over, okay? So can you, Tammy, can you just make sure that's on board business for the next one?
I would just like to add my 2 bits on this.
That's what we're here for.
Oh,
The town of Bakersfield has missed out on countless opportunities to receive grants from numerous entities because we don't have a grant writer. Nobody wants to do it for free, and we don't have one that we can even pay. So I think we need to take advantage of a grant writer, not necessarily this gentleman. I'm not going to make a decision on that, but we do need a grant writer.
And as I understand it, regional planning has grant writers available to the town, so should we check that
Yes,
as well?
yes. Regional Planning Commission, Northwest Regional Planning Commission is a great resource, and they are willing to help us in all ways. Most of them.
This one's not free either. It's just, I
this isn't free.
But I just,
was gonna say, nothing's free.
nothing is county, and this council is going to regional planning every year. So.
Yep.
One nice thing is this individual lives.
In my opinion, for what we pay the Northwest Regional Planning Commission, we receive far more in benefit.
Yes, we do.
Any others?
Just want. Sorry, I just want to ensure everyone on the board knows that we will be calling for someone to repair the heater for this room. This week, it's not working. Which may force us forward to replacement of the heater.
Yep.
Oh, is that James? James,
Hey, how you doing?
wonderful, and yourself?
Well, I had a tooth extracted today, so it's a little hard to talk.
No problem.
Are you drooling?
Kinda, not in a good way.
Do you,
I wanna, go ahead, John.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'll tell you what I always, and I've said to you, and some, those of you that I've talked to on the side, you guys can always invite me. Every town knows that if they have an issue to invite me, and I'll be there at your meetings. Obviously with 3 towns, not just gonna show up here and there. But as I had with Lance before, if there's any issues that you think are important, or obviously if there's something that's town relevant that I find, I'm happy to communicate with you guys. So anyway, continue. And I'll, if you have questions that I might be able to answer, or if you have concerns, that's the other thing is always, if you have concerns that are town issues, contact me, call me, text me, email. I'm always available. I have the same relationship with all 3 towns. Always available, but it's a 2-way street.
No,
I will say this, Mr. Gregoire, your predecessor didn't need an invitation. He showed up here pretty regularly. And I'm not passing judgment. I'm just saying that's how it was.
Yeah. And I have no problem with that. Is this Lance or I can't see?
yeah, that was Lance.
Yes. sir.
Yeah. And the second part to that is if there's something to discuss, because just coming to a meeting for, if you didn't have anything relevant to speak about, is not useful use of time. And I don't know how much awareness is of all the other tasks and duties we have. Obviously, I'm happy to come. You tell me you want me to come, we'll have a conversation. But there's a lot more going on than just a couple, there's a lot of issues going on. Excuse me for, go ahead.
I hear you're very busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I get-
so
go
it
ahead.
wasn't predecessor.
I would say,
not-
I
I'm
would say,
not gonna
and
be-
not to be argumentative, but the legislature has changed a lot just in the last 4 years, let alone the last 6. But like I say, you want me to come, I'll be there. That's not a controversial, I can't even pronounce my words because I can't open my mouth. I'm not, no, that's not a argumentative statement. Is if that's what, if you would like and have things you want to discuss, I am happy to make a plan to come and visit and talk. But the bigger thing where real work is done is during their weekends, contact me if there's issues too, and I'll be happy to do the same. But we'll get on a plan of attending. So we'll get on that plan. Okay.
Sounds good. So,
Thank you.
James, since you're here, the 27th of February. Are you available?
I can't see who I'm.
That's,
Let me see if I can turn it sideways. It looks better. It's very hard. Go ahead.
The
I see
27th
who it
of
is now.
February.
Yep.
Would you be available to come to the meeting?
Let me pull up my little schedule here. Because are you at the same time?
Yes, 7 o'clock.
7 PM it starts.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I can be there by 7. That's a Monday, so I can be there by 7. That would be no problem this time. Yep. I'll put it
Perfect.
right in my schedule right now.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. I know I sound like a ding dong. So 7 o'clock. No problem at all. So we'll do that. And like I said, are you still there? Okay. Yeah, this thing is being weird for me. If you have especially town related issues that are pressing that you see a bill, even individually, and I always tell this to people, individually is a big thing. Always reach out. I'm always an open page, open book rather than an open page. You can't open a page. Always available. And if you need something during the between meetings and stuff, feel free. And if we need to meet up, and we used to do it more regularly, more than happy. We just got to make sure the schedules work with all the other meetings and stuff.
Excellent. We're glad to hear that.
And sorry that I sound goofy. I mean, I keep saying that, but maybe I don't sound as goofy as I think I do, but I sound pretty goofy.
You can watch this recording front and make that decision for yourself. I won't judge you.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst I sound, I suppose.
Well, thank you for popping on here. We are at the end of our agenda. So
Perfect time if you have anything you wanted to speak about, or is there anything that's on your mind? Like obviously roads is huge for towns, but there's not a lot going on this early in the session for the roads, but.
no, the thing we would like to have you come and discuss with us next meeting is the lack of patrol via state police or sheriff's department or really any entity at all in the town of Bakersfield. So
Alright.
if you want to use that as homework and touch base with them before you come on the 20th.
Yeah, I'll find out like state police, what their rules. Obviously the sheriff is a contract, so that would be completely different. But I'll ask the state police, the public service, and see what their policy is, and we'll have a chat. And once we chat about what your concerns are, then I will go and talk to them again and see what we can do for follow-up.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
How about, we'll add this one too, Mr. Gregoire. How about the lack of state statutes on four-wheelers and lack of enforcement thereof as well?
Okay, yeah, that's an ongoing, obviously, yep. I'll talk to them. So, yeah, what you guys have, you have your roads are open right now, right?
Our
Like
roads are,
you,
our roads are open via the town sticker that is purchased, and they're
yeah,
open from, I believe it's May through
right.
end of October.
Okay.
But
Um,
That
I know
doesn't
there's
stop
people-
ATVs from going up and down the street.
nope, it sure doesn't.
December, so.
There had been talk in the past, we'll get into it. There had been talk in the past about like different roles for different law enforcement agencies to be more active than that. So let me follow up with some people and get some information. We'll talk about that as well.
Excellent. Does anybody else
Thank you.
have anything they'd like to give him for homework?
No.
Can you just give us a little rundown of what you are working on?
Well, I'm on human services, so we're dealing with a lot of issues of childcare, older Vermonter issues, insurance, like I said, childcare is the biggest one right now. And of course you get the normal bills. Whew, getting dizzy. I'll put together something for you. But also if you ever want to see, we're dealing like right now is a budgetary, excuse me, the beginning of the budget process. So we have teams, like my team, myself and another representative, we deal with child development division. So we've been meeting with the administration on a regular basis, meetings to figure out what we do and do not agree with the governor's budget and how we were going to formulate our own budget. We just got done to BAA the week before last. That's the Budget Adjustment Act. So that's halfway through the year where you basically go through a mini budget type thing and say, well, where's the money? This is the governor says this is where he wants the money to go. And the legislature said, well, okay, we agree with some of that and we don't agree with others. And that's been those budgetary issues take up a lot of time. And the childcare, which I've been intimately involved with since last summer, that takes up a huge amount of time. But we'll,
For those of us
What-
that got to pay our child care, are we gonna get a reimbursement?
I pay for mine too. It's definitely a big debate. I don't know where this is gonna end up. It's very early on in the stages. There's a lot of positives in the bill and there's some things that are definitely issues, I think, for both sides of the aisle and for the community. There's definitely, we can talk about that too. Like right now, I'm not really up to the level of brain power, you can tell, to have that in deep of an intellectual issue, but it is a different hold on. Whew, just getting lightheaded, sorry, I stood up too fast with this stuff. Anyway, they're not going to give us a reimbursement for our stuff. What happens in childcare, I don't know the answer. We do know that and I constantly advocate, and I'm not the only one, for family home-based childcare, and they usually get left out, and it's more center-based. And so we're talking about different issues like that. It's very early on. I'll be honest, obviously send me an email, but also my committee, and let your feelings be known. Because if the citizens don't let their voices be known, not just to their single representative, but anybody on the committee, then they won't know. And obviously I relay anything I hear and anything I talk about. We bring that down to Montpelier and have those conversations. But it's going to be, I think that's that. And we haven't in my committee dealt with it yet, but the other one that's a big bill that's going to take a lot of time, a lot of discussion is the family leave. Those are the two biggest priorities for the leadership at this time. So those take up quite a bit of time. And it's going to take a lot of discussion and testimony, and obviously education in general. But all right.
Perfect. Thank you. And we look forward to hearing from you at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Jay.
it.
Thanks,
Thank
Jane.
you. You
Feel better.
guys you have a good night.
You too.
Would the chair entertain a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
I second the
Second
motion.
it.
Oh,
Been double
I'll let you
seconded.
have it.
Everybody wants to get. Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it.
Oh.
Thank you.